Hello, we're back. We're going to do another Visual Studio demonstration here. This time we will be creating a program that has multiple source files so that we can see how that looks when we're working in Visual Studio. So I go to the Start menu, find my Visual Studio 2010, let it get started up. I will do a new project. Again, it's a Windows console application we want to create, and we're going to call this one Hello Multiple because we're going to use multiple source files. We do want to create a directory for our solution, and I'll go ahead and say OK. Rather than clicking Finish, I'll click Next so I can again select an empty project. As we mentioned in the last video, if you don't do the empty project, you'll get extra stuff added in that's specific to Microsoft that we don't need and we don't want. Okay, Finish will end up building the project and solution directory structure, and we can go about our business now. You will remember in order to add a file, we'll go to Source Files, right click, Add New Item, and I'll add a source file here. This will be my main program. Go ahead and add that file, and I'm going to include IOStream again and put in main. Okay, in this program I actually want to say hello, but I want to also display the results of calculating the factorial. So I'm going to go ahead right here and calculate the factorial of the number 5. The factorial function doesn't exist yet, so we're going to have to create it. But we'll pretend that it exists for a few minutes so that we can type in hello factorial of 5 is equal to, and we'll put in the value and close out our line. Let's see, I'm pretty sure I meant to put parentheses right there. Okay, so that's the intended purpose of this program, is to calculate the factorial of 5 and display the result. Now, factorial is not a predefined function, so we are going to create it. I am going to create a file called mymath.h, which will have the header files, which will be the header file, I should say, for the factorial function. And then I'll also create a mymath.cpp that has the implementation. Let's start with the header file. We'll go over to header files. I'll click, right click, add new item. And this time, rather than choosing a CPP file, I'm going to choose a header file. And in order to get my code to work right, I need to choose my name correctly, mymath.h. If I spelled it correctly, it would be better. Here we go. Add that file. You'll notice that in the editor area we still have main.cpp. Oops, I didn't save that. I'm going to click over there and do a save real quick. I'll come back to mymath.h. Alright, I'll put in my protective if and def. And then I'll throw in my factorial prototype, like so, and make sure I save it so the star goes away. Alright, all that's left then is to create the CPP implementation of factorial. I'll right click on source files, add a new item. This will be a CPP file, and I need to make the name in the pop-up. Go ahead and add. Make sure I include the header file that we're defining the function for, and implement the function. Factorial, it's an int. while n is greater than 1, f times equals n minus minus return f. That ought to do it. Looks right. Let's go ahead and save that file as well. Okay, now using Visual Studio, we've created 3 separate files: the main CPP file, mymathcpp, and the mymath.h, using the correct includes everywhere. I will point out that you should be very careful that you're using the correct case sensitivity on your includes and your file name so that they all match. One of the downfalls of Windows is it is case insensitive, so the code might work here, but it won't be portable code if you don't make sure that the case matches. By portable, I mean it won't be able to go to, say, a Linux or OS X system and be compiled if you don't get the naming scheme and include scheme correctly. Okay, following the process that we did before for building and running a program, we're going to go to Build and build the solution. Notice that there's a keyboard shortcut. You can just type F7 and it will build the solution. Okay, over here in the output window, we can watch what happens. It compiled fairly quickly, but let's go back and look again. Visual Studio realized that it needed to compile mymath.cpp and main.cpp. It tried to compile both of them. Actually, it looks like it ran into an error while compiling main.cpp and produced an error message, so it did not succeed in building, and we have a failure. Because we're inside of Visual Studio, I should be able to just double click on the line that contains the error here, and it will help me to jump to the line in my source code where that error was detected. Looks like right here I didn't type my redirect correctly there. I will make that edit, save, and build again. We watch in the output screen, and main was compiled because mymath.cpp had compiled correctly. It's not compiled again. After all the compilations are finished, the link process occurs, and we were able to create our executable program. We can now run it by going to the debug and start without debugging. The program should run and show us that the factorial 5 is 120, and then waits for us to end. Okay, we can obviously go back and add new files or modify the existing files, and whenever we want to recompile our program, we just go to the build and build solution. When we want to run it, we go to debug and start without debugging. Thank you very much. I hope this gets you started in writing code with Visual Studio. Go out and write some code. Thank you.